welcome everyone. We'll be discussing on the changes to ISO 27001 2022. My name is Prashant Sharma and I am the technology and the ISMS lead with Anitech. And along with me, I have Sharon Oliver.
Hey guys, I'm Sharon Oliver and I'm the Associate Consultant for Quality and ISMS. And this presentation was created for us by Liam. So let's have a look at the agenda that we're going to be covering today. So first, we want to definitely know the changes that are there from the 2030 version to the 2022 version, and also what these control changes are, the requirements that are there for the new controls, as well as the benefits of the new controls.
Let's see what are the changes in the new control and why are these changes. So in the older version, when we compare it to the new version, to stay up to date with the society current security threats and to cover the latest security infrastructure, the changes were very much required in terms of technology, in terms of cloud controls, and in terms of physical security. These are the major ones at the moment in the controls. Now, due to several control duplications in the previous version, the new ISO have got minimum little bit less controls, which has been minimized to 93 controls, overall creating a less complex structure compared to the old standards. In the new version, it consists of 5 attributes only that will support categorization of all 93 controls.
Great. So like Prashant said, we have 5 control attributes, right? So as you can see in the screen, these are the 5 of them. We have the control type, we have information security properties, operational capabilities, cybersecurity concepts, and security domains. And we'll have a look at all of this closely.
Okay, so now let's talk about what are the changes. Well, there are 93 controls in the new version. 11 controls are new out of that. 1 control is split into 2. 23 controls were renamed and 57 controls are merged to form 24 controls, and 35 controls remain unchanged. At the same time, from clause 4 to 10 is still the same. There's no change there.
Beautiful. And like we said, the control sections for the previous standard version were 14, while now they're only 4. So you can see people, organizational, technological, and physical. So basically just a simplified version.
Moving on, the new controls under the organization categories are threat intelligence, information security for the use of cloud services, readiness for business continuity. In technology, we have configuration management, information deletion, data masking, data leakage prevention, monitoring services, web filtering, secure coding, and under physical, we got physical security monitoring.
All right, and remember that one control which was split into 2 now? Well, that is this control, technical compliance review, which has now been split to the management of technical vulnerabilities and the conformity with policies and standards of information security.
Moving on, here is the list of merge controls, and let me tell you the merge controls are too many. So we'll be discussing, I'll try to make it as quick as possible, but I'll ask you to go through it once again if you want to have better understanding. Well, let me start that. So the policies for information security and the review of policies for information security from the previous version is being merged to policies for information security in the new version. Information security in project management, information security requirement analysis and specification has been merged to information security in project management in the new one. Mobile device policy and the unattended user equipment is merged to user endpoint devices. Inventory of assets, ownership of assets is merged to inventory of information and other associated assets.
Similarly, you can see that the acceptable use of assets and handling of assets are now under one umbrella, which is the acceptable use of information and other associated assets. Then we have the management of removal media, disposal of media, and removal of assets, all under storage media. Then we have everything to do with access control, like access control policy, access to networks and network services, now under access control, and also user access provisioning, review of user access rights, removal or adjustment of access rights, now all under 5.18, which is access rights.
Moving on, management of secret authentication information of users, use of secret authentication information. Password management system is under authentication information under one control in the new one. Policy on the use of cryptographic controls. Key management is use of cryptography. Physical entry controls, delivery and loading areas is under physical entry, and the change management, system change control procedures, technical review of applications after operating platform changes, restriction on changes to software packages is the change management in the new one.
Similarly, the separation of development, testing, and operational environments, as well as secure development environment, is now under separation of development, test, and production environments. Then everything to do with logging, like event logging, protection of log information, administrator and operator logs can all be found under logging. Then installation of software on operating systems, restrictions on the software installations is now under installations of softwares on operating systems, and management of technical vulnerabilities and technical compliance review is now made simplified, and it's now called management of technical vulnerabilities.
So information transfer policies and procedure. Agreement on information transfer, electronic messaging is now part of information transfer in the new control. Securing application services on public network, protecting application services transactions is part of application security requirements. System security testing, system acceptance testing is part of security testing in development and acceptance. Monitoring and review of supplier services, managing changes to supplier services is part of monitoring, review, and change management of supplier services.
And we also have reporting information security events, then reporting information security weaknesses can now be found under information security event reporting. Then planning information security continuity, implementing information security continuity, verify, review, and evaluate information security continuity is all under information security during disruption. And then identification of applicable legislation and contractual requirements, regulation on cryptographic controls is all legal, statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirements. Then compliance with security policies and standards, as well as technical compliance review, is now called compliance with policies, rules, and standards for information security.
So we got the renamed controls now. So the teleworking is been moved to remote working. User registration and deregistration is named as identity management. Management of privilege access rights is named as privilege access rights. Secure logon procedure is named as secure authentication.
That's right. And then access to source code is now access control to program source code is now access to source code. Then termination or change of employment responsibilities is responsibilities after termination or change of employment, basically rewording. And then physical and environment security parameters is just physical security parameters. And then we have security of equipment and assets off premises is just security of assets off premises.
Wait, few more to go. Clear disk and clear screen policy is clear disk and clear screen now. Control against malware is protection against malware. Information system audit controls is protection of information system during testing, and the network controls is network security.
Righty, then segregation in networks is basically segregation of network. So we must know it's just renamed controls. And then secure development policy is secure development lifecycle. Then secure system engineering principles is secure system architecture and engineering principles. Then protection of test data is simplified as test information.
Information security policy for supplier relationship is renamed to information security in supplier relationships. Addressing security with supplier agreements is renamed as addressing information security within the supplier agreement. Information and communication technology supply chain is renamed to managing information security in ICT supply chain. And the responsibilities and procedures is renamed to information security incident management planning and preparation.
A little bit more to go. Then we have the assessment of and decision on information security events. Is now assessment and decision on information security events. You can see not much of a change over there. Then availability of information processing facilities is now redundancy of information processing facilities. Then privacy and protection of personally identifiable information is privacy and protection of, well, PII stands for personally identifiable information. So not much of a change there.
Moving on, we will talk about the new control requirements now. So we got threat intelligence as the first one. So the threat intelligence should be collected through internal information and external sources. The intelligence may include system vulnerabilities, attack methods, malicious equipments, and softwares, and etc. However, at the bottom there is a table which talks about what should an employee be aware of when we talk about this control. Do we need any mandatory documentation from the new control on this clause, and what are the document suggestions? So when we talk of employees awareness, so it is important for employees to report threats found, ensure employees are aware of where, how, whom they need to report their concerns. And the important document for this is the incident management procedure. And for the employees, a proper training is the only solution to let them know how and where to report any vulnerable, anything they found which is suspicious.
Alrighty, information security of the use of cloud services. Basically, it is to support data security within the cloud by creating security requirements for all cloud services. Security requirements may include managing, operating, acquiring, or terminating the cloud services. So over here, the employee should understand security risks associated with the cloud services and how to operate cloud service security attributes. And the main document that is suggested here is the cloud security policies.
Moving on, we'll talk about business continuity. So this is control 5.30 in the document, and it ensures that the assets are available whenever they are needed at the time of disaster or any time when the main DC is down. So the employee awareness is that they should be aware of all the possible future disruptions and be given the training to maintain all the necessary technology if a disruption was to occur. Important documents you need. One of the most important one is the business continuity testing plans and reports. At the same time, you can also maintain a disaster recovery plan, internal audit reports, business impact analysis, business continuity strategies, business continuity plans.
Perfect. Now, what are the physical security monitoring control? Let's look at that. So this control requires all sensitive areas to be monitored to ensure that only authorized personnel can access these locations like offices, warehouses, etc. And we also don't want unauthorized people to access, critical rooms like maybe the server rooms and etc. Right? So let's see what the employee should be aware of. The employee should know how to operate the monitoring systems and know the risks associated with accessing sensitive areas without authorization. And some of the documentation that can help is regulated physical security procedures as well as the incident management procedures.
Configuration management, which is control 8.9 for necessary security protection and the avoidance of any unauthorized modification. The 8.9 configuration management controls requires the entire security configuration cycle to be managed for all relevant technology. This process should be defined, applied, monitored, and regularly assessed. Employee awareness is they should understand why security configuration must be tightly protected and how to execute it. There is a mandatory documentation requirement by the new version. which is security configuration should be separately outlined for each system. For audit trailing, all changes to configuration must also be logged.
Then we have information deletion. So, to comply with privacy requirements and avoid disclosing sensitive information, this control requires all data potentially within media, information technology operating systems, or cloud services to be deleted when it is no longer intended. So, the employee should understand the importance of deleting non essential sensitive data and how to properly complete this process. The document that can be referred is data retention policies. So always don't keep something that you do not need. Just follow that principle.
Yep. Okay, data masking. So to control the exposure of sensitive information with primary focus on regulated personal data, data masking requires the use of data masking in conjunction with access controls. So the employee awareness is to understand the importance of masking data, which data should be masked and how to appropriately mask this data. Important documents you need is the information classification policies, which helps to identify which server or which document contains the information which is a classified or a personal or a PII information, while companies who are required to comply with GDPR policies, privacies, they should have these protection policies separately built. Moving on.
Thank you. Data leakage prevention. So this control aims to prevent unauthorized disclosure of sensitive IT systems, device, or network data through the use of several data leakage prevention procedures. And if data leaks were to occur, the data leakage prevention procedure should be able to promptly detect these leakages. So the employee should be provided an understanding on what sensitive data is controlled within the organization, how to appropriately handle the sensitive information, and why it is important for it to not be leaked. So we have the information classification policies as well as the security operating procedures.
Monitoring activities. This control aims to identify activities and behaviors within IT system, devices, applications, and network through the use of monitoring services. These monitoring services should also initiate incident response procedures if needed. This is specifically for the IT administrators. So as far as the awareness goes, IT administrators should be trained on how to use monitoring services and tools. Other employees should also be aware that their activities are being monitored and should be educated about the acceptable activity behavior. Important documents to consider is a security operating procedures, and you can also have acceptable use of policies along with this document.
Then we have web filtering. So to protect IT systems from malware and prevent users from executing illegal materials obtained from internet sources, this control manages user website activity and accessibility. So system administrators should be trained on how to operate web filtering tools. Other employees should be informed of the risk associated with internet usage and know where to locate internet safe use guidelines. So the documentation around this is security operating procedures.
Secure coding. This is control number 8.28. Secure coding control requires security coding principles to be developed and executed during an entire software development cycle to ensure the security vulnerabilities are minimized throughout the finalized software applications. Software developers should understand the importance of the secure coding principles, know how to secure the code through the use of secure coding tools and methods. Important documents you need is the secure development policies. This control has been brought in to ensure that during the development phase, if there are any gaps in the code, they should be taken care before the code goes into the production or before it's a real-time application.
So let's look at the benefits for the new controls. All right, we'll start with the threat intelligence benefits. So it highlights and provides an understanding of the latest cybersecurity threats so that you can be on top of your game. And it also allows businesses to check for potential security vulnerabilities and patch them before an incident occurs. And it also supports incident response plans and operations, and it provides internal security systems with new threat data to block upcoming threat indicators and intrusions.
Let's talk about the cloud service benefits. So cloud service gives you a lot of benefits. It gives you the data visibility, allowing the organization to continuously be aware of the risk posture. It gives you protection against the malicious attacks, for example, DDoS, which is the most common one. It gives you the assurance of that you're following the laws and the security standards and other basic requirements of the services. It prevents unauthorized people acquiring sensitive information by implementing access controls and data encryption procedures. Now, most cloud security services contain their own threat detection services that support information security. However, the recommendation is whatever services you're getting it from the cloud services, but it's always recommended to have a level of extra layer, a level of extra protection to protect your company data, to protect the sensitive information. So other than what you're getting from the cloud services, it's good that you also implement your set of devices on top of their devices so that you get enhanced security.
Okay. And then we have business continuity benefits. So it allows the ICT to be prepared and efficiently respond to security incidents. And it improves the likelihood and amount of information to be recovered during a security incident or disruption.
Physical security. So it supports the prevention of crime. We know that. Inappropriate behavior, natural disaster, civil interferences, industrial incidents, and other issues at the workplace sites, improve response time to security incidents, reinforces employee, client, and public safety, prevent unauthorized people from entering the workplace and acquiring workplace information, assets, etc.
Then configuration management benefits. Well, it ensures all information technology operating systems are appropriately connected and in sync with each other to prevent future malfunctions. It reduces the security risk through evident records of changes to the IT system, and it prevents unnecessary duplications in technology assets and highlights all elements of the configuration, potentially reducing the associated costs. And it increases the performance as configuration issues are detected and responded on faster. It improves the speed of service restoration due to documentation and configuration automation being appropriately managed. And it prevents unauthorized configuration changes.
Information deletion benefits. So it supports the prevention of sensitive or confidential information being leaked or stolen, reduces the cost for storing and managing the data, reduces the amount of data stored, ultimately improving the overall organization of data, potentially making it easier for information to be found.
Then we have data masking benefits. It reduces the exposure of sensitive information to unauthorized and non-privileged users. It allows businesses to consume which and how much data they want to disclose or limit access to. And it supports the maintenance of regulatory compliance by applying data privacy standards. Then it ensures application transparency as information is masked depending on the level of user privilege. As you all know, not every role in the business needs the same access rights and access levels, right? So that's what we're trying to say over here. And the operations may become more agile as data can be masked promptly while leaving the primary data held within the database unscathed.
Let's talk about data leakage prevention benefits. It reduces the opportunity for the unauthorized disclosure of confidential and sensitive information. improves the response time and likelihood of recovery if an incident was to occur, enhances the organization data visibility, supports compliance to cybersecurity and data privacy laws and standards, ensures access control measures are being used and that users are required to authenticate themselves before acquiring the data.
The monitoring activities benefits. Supports detection of anomalies and malicious activities within IT systems, increasing the response time to incidents that may occur. Supports the detection of security vulnerabilities and identification of required security improvements. Allows organization to easily identify which user access to what information and devices. So always remember that you are being monitored within your organization. And the employees are held accountable for the sites viewed and materials obtained on the internet, ultimately reducing the likelihood of employees visiting inappropriate and unsafe websites. And it provides organizations with an overview of an employee's work efforts and future potential.
Okay, let's talk about web filtering benefits. It defends against exploit kits and attacks vulnerabilities within web services and applications. Prevents phishing attack by enforcing spam email filters and web search filters. Protecting employees and the organization assets by monitoring and controlling access to inappropriate or malicious websites that may contain malware. Prevent the use of illegal materials, applications, or services from the internet.
The secure coding benefits. Improves coding architecture, which ultimately decreases the failure rate of the software. It reduces the number of loopholes within the software's code, providing protection against threat actors who may be searching for these vulnerabilities. It reduces time and cost related to software redevelopment and modifications, as malicious activities are less likely to occur with the use of secure coding practices, and protects against unauthorized modifications made to the software's code.
That'll be all.